It was an event meant to celebrate, but ended in tragedy. As the Lapu-Lapu Day Festival ended in Vancouver this weekend, a man driving a high-end SUV rammed through the scene. 11 people died, including a mother, father, and 5-year-old daughter. Dozens more injured. A 30-year-old man has been charged with 8 counts of second-degree murder, and more are expected. Now, Filipinos are a tight-knit community, and organizers are holding vigils around the country, including right here in Winnipeg. Jelynn Dela Cruz is the NDP MLA for Radisson. She's one of the people organizing tonight's vigil at the Philippine Canadian Centre of Manitoba on Keewatin, and Jelynn joins us in studio. Welcome.
Thank you.
I remember the visceral fear I felt when I heard about this horrific thing. I grew up in Metro Vancouver. My mom, dad, sister, nephew, aunts, cousins, all were there. Where does all of this land for you?
For me, a close family friend of mine actually was directly impacted. His son, the father is stable now, but the son, his 2-year-old, is still in the ICU. And it wasn't until just recently that they actually moved to Vancouver from here in Winnipeg. They've got lots of family here, lots of friends that care deeply about them. So it's definitely hitting hard as well.
I mean, kababayans are everywhere. This is, in particular, also hitting close to home for you. What stands out for you about how you manage this?
Over the weekend, since the attack in Vancouver, while community's been reaching out for us to organize this vigil that's happening this evening, I've been giving a lot of thought to the values that we hold as Filipinos, namely kapwa. And, the idea that what happens to you happens to me, no matter where you are. And so with what happened in Vancouver and here in Winnipeg, having the highest per capita population of Filipinos, what Filipinos are feeling ultimately is what the community is feeling as well.
I'm sure your phone was very busy when this happened. What have you heard from people around about how they're feeling, what they're thinking about, or what to make of all of this?
Well, of course, in our culture, it's very common for us to be very selfless, to really give into the idea of bayanihan and helping others. And so one of the first few things that I'd heard about was what the reality must have been for those on the front lines who are also kapwa, also kababayans, fielding the outpour of need from community members in hospital, what it must have been like for them. But I've also been hearing a lot from elders in my family, elders in the community as well, that this is unlocking a lot of unhealed trauma that we felt would have been dealt with by now. And that's trauma that comes with a transition from our homeland in the Philippines to the diaspora here in Canada.
And then when you look at the purpose of the festival, it was to celebrate the release of colonialism of the Philippines from the Spanish.
Yeah.
And then this happened.
Yeah.
How hard is it to answer? I mean, folks have been coming to me, sending messages saying, how are you doing?
How are you doing?
And I have not had an answer other than I'm processing, and it's hard. I don't know. How hard is it for you to answer that question? Because you're in a very public position, and also a very visible position as an MLA, but also as a Filipino.
Yeah. Well, this year in particular has been one of heavy grief. In the workplace, but also personally. And so I think as many of my colleagues in the legislature, for example, can probably relate, we kind of deal with what's right in front of us and what the community needs immediately. And so I don't doubt that after this event is held, and I can be assured that our community has had at least one opportunity to share space in prayer and reflection, I'll probably crash. I'll probably, spend my own time grieving with my family over what's happened over the weekend.
I'm really sorry to hear about your family. Thank you for sharing that. You were talking about making space. The space for tonight. Why hold this vigil tonight, and why hold it in particular at this venue?
So the Philippine Canadian Center of Manitoba is something that us as Filipinos here in Winnipeg, we frankly take for granted. A lot of communities across Canada are fighting for a Filipino center in their municipalities and their jurisdictions, and it was the first place that came up that was accessible to the public. There's a lot of Filipino kapwa that live in west Winnipeg. Having it at the legislature would make it feel too inaccessible.
And partisan, too.
And partisan. And so the goal with this vigil isn't to score political points. I know that the timing of the attack was really difficult for a lot because a lot of the messaging that we saw circulating was tough to see. Though this vigil, I think, coming together at the PCCM will help remind us of exactly, where safety for us lies, and that is in community. It's because of community that we're able to do the things that we do, that you're able to be at the CBC, that I'm able to be in the legislature representing constituents, that many of us are able to live the life that we can in Canada.
It sounds like a lot of Filipinos are hurting.
Yeah.
And so are supporters and other Canadians. I mean, I was struggling to find this message. Someone sent me a message earlier. I had not yet opened it, but I saw the preview and it said something like, in my community, where I live, I've asked friends to lower our flags to half-mast. What do you make of how folks like that, the country, is reacting to this? Or do you have an answer?
When it comes to the solidarity that we're seeing, gestures that really hope to provide us a little bit of comfort in the Filipino community, it really is reassuring that when it comes to our shared humanity, there's a lot more that we have in common than we have, that divides us or that separates us from one another. And in this instance, it's grief, it's pain that we're all sharing together.
I know you brought the program for tonight.
Yeah.
I don't want you to read a list of what's going to happen, but
Sure.
when you look at how you've set up and how organizers have decided what to put, what stands out for you about what people are going to see or be able to do or be able to feel?
Yeah. So Filipino peoples, as you know, are incredibly spiritual. We're a faithful body of people. And so this is an interfaith program that will allow folks to, heal, to grieve, to respond in different ways that they're comfortable with. We have a number of folks from other faith communities that aren't Catholic or Christian. Like we'll have Auntie Shahina Siddiqui from the Muslim community. We'll have an individual sharing words of comfort from the Sikh community as well as the Jewish community. And so, there'll be a diverse showing of folks who've reached out and have wanted to offer their support to our Filipino peoples.
I know you don't speak for all Filipinos. And a question that is sort of living in the minds of many folks is what Filipinos need right now in particular. With your lived experience, with the people around you, what's your sense, at least for what you know, about what folks need from people who are offering thoughts and prayers?
That's a really good question because often, I also struggle with knowing what I need as an individual, too. And that's likely the perspective that I can speak from.
If you ask me that question, the answer would be, I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah. I think all of the support that's been shown so far has been incredibly helpful for those affected. For the family, a friend of mine whose 2-year-old is in hospital still, their GoFundMe was able to fund their family's travel here from Winnipeg to be with the 2-year-old son in Vancouver. And that in and of itself is something that is completely, there's no dollar value that you can even assign to that. So I think the way the community is showing up is the way that it's meant to. Yeah.
Thank you for your work and for coming in to talk about this.
Thank you, Faith.
We'll see you tonight.
See you tonight.
Jelynn Dela Cruz is the NDP MLA for Radisson. She's one of the folks organizing tonight's vigil, a nonpartisan and a vigil at the Philippine Canadian Centre of Manitoba. It's on Keewatin. It starts at 7 p.m.